It is totally their responsibility. And if they had taken care of the business earlier, we would be in this situation right now.
The way that the game went and how egregious the referees were and how they were not protecting players, and they especially weren't protecting the #1 player in this league, the biggest draw in this league, which is Caitlin Clark, and they continue to not do that. She's going to stand up for her teammate, and that's what she did in that moment.
What Caitlin Clark endured against the Connecticut Sun wasn't just another ugly moment. It was the breaking point of a trend that's been ignored for far too long. Now, the WNBA is staring down a full-blown credibility crisis, and the Indiana Fever have made it clear, enough is enough.
Here is the problem. So many of these incidents are happening towards Indiana Fever players, particularly Caitlin Clark.
The Sun didn't just play hard. They came out swinging like it was an MMA tryout and somehow walked away scot-free. If you're fed up with this kind of refereeing, drop a comment to support Caitlin Clark and help send a message. Instead of celebrating the Fever's huge win and their well-earned spot in the Commissioner's Cup final, all anyone can talk about is how Caitlin Clark keeps getting roughed up. This wasn't just physical play, it felt like a full-on ambush, with refs standing by and shrugging like it was business as usual. Then came Stephanie White, when the Fever head coach stepped up to the podium. This was no typical postgame press conference. She was locked and loaded, armed with facts, fueled by anger, and ready to call out the madness. No sugarcoating, no apologies. Just pure, unfiltered truth.
For this first, I know you and JC go way back to the Big Ten. What was going on with the chippiness there, and what explanation were you given for the tech that you got?
I'll take the official question.
I've got every fiery highlight lined up because this postgame wasn't just a rant, it was a reckoning. If this game proved anything, it's that the WNBA hasn't just failed to adjust after Caitlin Clark's injury hiatus. It's ignored every warning sign, and now the Fever have run out of patience. Let's rewind to the chaos, the aftermath, and the wave of reactions crashing down on the WNBA's officiating like a do-your-job tsunami. This was Indiana versus Connecticut in a high-stakes Commissioner's Cup rematch, and while the Sun weren't the favorites, they sure mastered the art of messy basketball.
And Caitlin Clark are talking to the official. They're both going at it saying, hey, there's a little extra right there. Uh-oh.
Enter JCS Sheldon, a player quickly gaining a reputation for treating opponents like bowling pins. This season, she's already taken down Sydney Colson and Sophie Cunningham. And now, it looked like she was aiming to complete the trifecta, setting her sights on Caitlin Clark with a little extra flair for good measure.
Her mortal enemy took out a player. JC Sheldon. Caitlin Clark's mortal enemy. JC Sheldon.
So she went straight for Caitlin's face, first with a cheap shot, then with all the chaos that followed. Meanwhile, Marina Mabrey was on a mission of her own, body-checking Clark so hard it felt more like an NFL combine drill than a WNBA game.
Watch when Caitlin Clark is trying to create some space. It looked like she just got hit in the eye there.
And Marina Mabrey, I missed that one, Idona.
Oh, I missed that one too.
Since you clearly can't claw someone in the eye and walk away clean, the answer should be simple. Eject her, or eject both of them. Don't just shrug and pretend nothing happened. In any other context, like when Jay-Z says, if you swing, be ready for the comeback, this would be a no-brainer. After a scuffle like that, the other player might just shove her to the ground, and the refs would have no choice but to send both of them packing.
You can't claw someone in the eye. Eject her. Eject both of them. Eject both of them. So there's nothing there. There's nothing there. Nothing there. JC Sheldon claws her in the eye. Then the two of them get into it, and then Mabrey just goes and shoves her onto the ground. Eject both of them.
The league should have stepped up and said, "You don't mess with our star." But instead, the refs stood by and did absolutely nothing. In fact, the only thing they pulled out of their pockets was a whistle to hit Caitlin Clark with a tech.
Wait, JC Sheldon got away with clawing her in the face. Caitlin got teed up for getting clawed in the face. They didn't even call it a common foul. They didn't call it a common foul. They didn't even call it a common foul. Oh my God. They don't care about players. They don't care about players.
You heard that right? No ejections. No text for the instigators, just a technical on Caitlin Clark. For having a face. If it weren't so infuriating, it would almost be comedy. But the backlash came fast and hard. Fans, analysts, and former players alike, all sounding off online. It's a collective fury hit like a dropped bomb, sending the clip viral and forcing ESPN to reckon with a wave of outrage it couldn't ignore.
I tell you, social media is setting the WNBA on fire right now, not in a good way. That's the understatement.
This officiating disaster was so outrageous that Sentel didn't even have to crack a joke. He just posted the clip as it happened. 'Cause reality had already crossed into satire. Even veteran commentators, usually measured and composed, were openly fuming after Marina Mabrey leveled Caitlin Clark with zero repercussions. This wasn't just a missed call. It was the officiating equivalent of waving a white flag.
Yeah, it looked like Caitlin got hit hard, both by JC Sheldon and Marina Mabrey there.
I would not be.
When Caitlin Clark was slammed down and then penalized, even the calmest, most measured voices lost their patience. This wasn't basketball anymore. It was a parody of the sport, and the basketball world was in no mood to laugh.
All right, enough is enough. You know, at some point, the line gets crossed too often where something needs to be done and things need to be corrected. And that is certainly the case with the way things around Caitlin Clark are officiated. This is a constant problem now. You know, it is something that since the beginning, I've kind of like backed off on because physical play is a part of sports. You know, going after a superstar and trying to rough them up a little bit to get in their head is a part of sports. But when it crosses the line, the referees need to do their jobs. They need to do their jobs, blow the whistle, and officiate properly.
Before we drop that thermonuclear post-game take, let's pause to remember why Caitlin Clark is different. Even after getting bumped, battered, and bullied all night, she didn't flinch. Instead, she tightened her grip on the game, stepped behind the arc, and buried the sun with a dagger 3 right in JCS Sheldon's face.
All right. Here is Clark splashing home a 3 from way downtown.
The best part? She made sure they felt it. The trash talk, the swagger, the "this is my court" energy. It was all on full display. Caitlin didn't just win the game. She made a statement loud and clear from way downtown.
With her hand in her face. Competitive.
Even worse than the antics are the commentators acting like every outburst is some historic culture-shaping moment. She's changing the game. No, she's just changing the channel to reality TV. Angel Reese thrashing mid-game is treated like performance art, and a decent stat line is framed like it's hanging in the Louvre. Meanwhile, the blatant foul, grabbing an opponent mid-possession, is waved off because, she pulled down some boards, right? Let's be honest. If Caitlin Clark pulled a stunt like that, the media would have a meltdown churning out columns and hot takes for days. But when it's Reese, we're expected to call it edge and pretend WrestleMania hasn't just replaced basketball. A solid box score doesn't erase the chaos. That's like naming someone Citizen of the Year just because they helped an elderly person cross the street 5 seconds after robbing a bank.
With the steal. Sheldon going coast to coast. And here we got another breakers here as JC Sheldon goes right after Sophie Cunningham.